Hi, my name is the Warrior Princess. Welcome to my first attempt to make a video that helps to spread the word of God. I am an educator, a teacher. I own an educational business. I am a writer, but more importantly, I am a child of God. I am a servant of God. And moving forward, I have made a decision to make an effort to put God first in my life. Because I have about 5 jobs, I often get caught up in the day-to-day of work, of tending to the needs of everything in this life. But I realized that not enough of my effort or time is going towards serving the purposes of the kingdom. I've been fortunate enough to be blessed with various talents that can be used to glorify God. So my goal is to move forth with using these gifts, to not be a sloth. I remember some time ago, I realized the definition of the word sloth, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's me. So I am making an effort, a conscious effort to use all of the talents that God has given me to empower the kingdom, to build the kingdom. And in today's culture of social media, besides blogging about the Word and blogging about God, video is a great way to also do that. I should also mention that I'm an extremely private person. I don't like pictures. I most definitely do not like videos. So basically, this for me is really pressing forward. This is doing something that I don't feel comfortable with in order to advance the kingdom. And my hope is not to make this any type of big production or anything like that. This will always be just an informal chat conversation in my attempt to relate the word to today's times and circumstances, things that we deal with in today's culture. So to begin with, and it's not structured. Like I said, this is just an attempt at moving forward and pushing myself out there and getting this done. Because if I keep waiting until the time is right, it's something that will never happen. So I want to begin with speaking about David. God has put David on my heart a lot lately in a lot of different ways. I obviously read the Word a lot. I also watch a lot of Christian television, which is a great opportunity to hear different sermons and teachings about the Word on stations such as TBN, Daystar, JCTV. You also have the opportunity to hear great Christian music by watching those type of cable channels. But recently, I've been reading a lot. I read the Bible every day, and I read a book at a time. And I happen to also be in the Book of Psalms, so my mind is on David. David, I can relate a lot to David. He's very interesting personality, a very interesting person. Number one, he was a warrior. He was a fighter and fought a lot of battles, and a lot of different type of battles: physical battles, wars, emotional battles, battles with his family, just all types of battles. He was most definitely a skilled and great warrior. We all know the story of David and Goliath, but there were a lot of other battles and wars that David actually did well with, excuse me. So that is where we're going to start off at. Just a couple of weeks ago, I learned something new about David, and this was something that was brought up by Pastor Jensen Franklin on Kingdom Connection. There is a verse in the Word where David states that he was born out of iniquity, and that he was conceived in sin. And that implies that possibly David was an illegitimate child. Now, in today's culture, we know that a lot of people are living in households with a single parent, and were born out of wedlock, including myself. And when I was younger, that was an issue that I dealt with. And when I say when I was younger, I mean in elementary school. But not having a father, my father, around definitely caused some issues for me in life. And, at this age, I've worked through most of them. But it was difficult, and I understand that it's something that, even though it's common and we may not speak about it, that people experience different emotions because of that factor. So that's one way that I can relate to David. David was also a great psalmist and a great worshiper. He praised God, and he cried out to God in every type of circumstance. And, God actually said that David was a man after his own heart. David was also a sinner. We know that there was a woman that David wanted, so he had the woman's husband killed so that he could be with her. So David was a murderer. He was someone who wanted what he wanted at all costs. And God said that he was a man after his own heart. The point of that is that God does understand that we are not perfect, and he still loves us. And if you know anything about David and his relationship with God, it's obvious that it was an extremely close relationship, and that God absolutely loved him. One thing that is most important with God and our journeys in life with God is our relationship with God. And David is a great example of how we should seek a close relationship with God. So today, excuse me, I'm just getting used to this online thing. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do the reading, and I am not really technologically savvy, so just bear with me, and let's just kind of focus on the fact that God's word is here, and that it's true, and that we get to learn from his word. Okay, so before I go on, let me just remind you that this is my first attempt. I know that I'm just learning how to use the webcam, and I am moving around a lot, which is not good, but let's focus on the word. Really quickly, I mentioned two other things about David. One was that, some scholars, some theologians think that possibly he was an illegitimate child. That stems from the verse in Psalm 51:5. And I also mentioned that God stated that David was a man after his own heart. And that stems from Acts chapter 13, verse 22. And the verse actually reads, after removing Saul, he made David their king. God testified concerning him, I have found David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart. He will do everything I want him to do. That is incredible. Just imagine if God was saying that about you. I imagine that. You know, my goal in life is that when I meet God face to face, or really at any time, I want him to say to me, job well done. And, you know, God had confidence in David that he would do what he wanted him to do. He was after his own heart. So I not only can relate to David, but he's definitely, in a lot of ways, a role model for me, and someone that I can definitely learn from. He's not Jesus. He's not, you know, to be worshipped, but he is a person that was written about so that we can learn from his life, and that's the purpose of it. Today I'm going to read Psalm 34 and then make some comments on that. Okay, I use the New International Version usually, just because that's this is the version that my church uses. So that's what I will be reading from, Psalm 34. I will extol the Lord at all times. His praise will always be on my lips. My soul will boast in the Lord. Let the afflicted hear and rejoice. Glorify the Lord with me. Let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. The poor man called, and the Lord heard him. He saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Taste and see the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. Fear the Lord, you his saints, for those who fear him lack nothing. The lions may grow weak and hungry, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. Come, my children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. Whoever of you loves life and desires to see many good days, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking lies. Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry. The face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to cut off the memory of them from the earth. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and saves those who are crushed in spirit. A righteous man may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. He protects all his bones. Not one of them will be broken. Evil will slay the wicked. The foes of the righteous will be condemned. The Lord redeems his servants. To one will be condemned who takes no one will be condemned who takes refuge in him. Okay. So that is Psalm 34. And I like for us to basically discuss a couple of things in that psalm. It tells us all of the different things that God will do for us, okay? He will free us from our fears, okay? We will be radiant with joy. And he saves us from our troubles, okay? We will have all that we need, and those who trust in the Lord will lack no good thing, okay? David obviously wrote this psalm, if you didn't know. And basically, it tells us all of the wonderful things that God can provide for us. But it also lets us know that there are actions that we have to take in order to get these provisions. The kingdom is a system. Some people kind of think of God and, being a believer, child of God, something like magic or um, like it just happens. But if you read the word, you understand that it's a system, it's an order. The Bible is a guidebook for living, and it tells us how to live. And when we live the way or strive to live the way within the guidelines that God gives us, there's fruit to reap. And a part of that fruit is, God giving us peace in dealing with our troubles and things of that nature. And the reason why I speak on these things is because I'm a person that has been through a lot of stuff in this life. I've been through a lot of stuff. That's part of the reason why I use the name the Warrior Princess, because I'm constantly fighting battles, and I realize that not that I was made for it, but I've learned from everything, and I've gotten so much stronger that really the battles have sort of been a type of training to get me to this point in life. And even though there are still things that I deal with, still battles that I'm fighting, I because I've overcome everything in the past, it's just another battle. It's like, at this point in life, it's like, okay, I have to fight, I have to get through this. Let me take my sword, my word, and sometimes it's tiring, but it's something at this point in life that I'm confident. I know for a fact that God's going to bring me through everything that I'm faced with. And that's how it works. But the other side of getting that type of response from God, in Psalms 34, it says, verse 6, it says, "In my desperation I prayed, and the Lord listened. He saved me from all my troubles. For the angel of the Lord is a guard. He surrounds and defends all who fear him." So, the Lord listens, and he saves us from our troubles when we call out to him. But later on in this chapter, David mentions that he asks a question. He asks, who does anyone want to live a life that is long and prosperous? Many of us, most of us want that. And then he tells us the different things, some of the things we need to do in order to have that long and prosperous life. It says, "Then keep your tongue from speaking evil, and keep your lips from telling lies. Turn away from evil and do good. Search for peace and work to maintain it." So, number one, keep your tongue from speaking evil. Okay. I've gotten a lot better with my tongue. The word also tells us that, our words, the tongue, has the power of life and death. And that's something that I'm still working on and I've gotten better at. But our words definitely have power, and we need to stop speaking, evil things, and stop wishing evil, and stop spreading evil with our words. Another thing is to keep your lip from telling lies. I've told lies. Most people have told lies. I'm not a person at this stage in my life that feels comfortable with lying. At this point, little lies, I get such a guilt trip that it's really better for me not to lie. But sometimes, I do find myself with little things, like say I am supposed to do something for someone, and they call me, did you do it? And I'm like, oh yeah, I just got it done, and then really I don't do it until I hang up the phone with them. um, Something minor like that, but it's still a lie. And sometimes I have been called dramatic in the past, and this forum is going to be honest, because I want people to really, begin to have this conversation with themselves. But I guess sometimes I can exaggerate a little bit. Um, I'm not going to say I'm dramatic, but I will say that there have been times when I want people to know how they affected me and how they hurt me, and I kind of pour it on thick. So just to kind of get them to feel, to be sorry. And that's really not a good thing. So we have to watch even the small lies, and just to bring us closer to God. Now, one thing I want to say is that we're all sinners, we're not perfect, and that's why we needed Jesus to die on a cross for us and to be our blood sacrifice. So for people who are wondering or saying, well, Jesus came so you know sins are okay because we're forgiven. Jesus did come to forgive our sins. However, even though Jesus did not condemn us, he told us to go and sin no more. So the goal is still to strive towards holiness and strive towards doing things God's way, even though we will fall along the way. The purpose is to get back up and keep striving, to keep moving, pressing towards that mark. One thing about me, I'm not perfect, but one thing I can say is that I sin a lot less than I did in my youth. As I become more mature, I'm grown, and as I get older and grow more mature and get further along in my walk with God, my journey with God, I sin less. The desire to sin has gone away. The desire to be involved with a lot of different things just no longer exists. I don't find any type of pleasure in it. I don't want anything to do with it. It's not because, I'm afraid that, I'm going to go to hell. It's because I just don't want to be that person. I am a child of God, and I want to glorify God. I love God. That's really the thing. I love him. And when you love someone, you want to please them. So I sin less because I want to please God. But back to Psalm 34. So David teaches us not to use our tongue to speak evil, and not to lie. One of the next things that he teaches us, or suggests that we do, is to turn away from evil and do good. Search for peace and work to maintain it. Turn away from evil and do good. That's a big one. Turning away from evil actions, from evil thoughts, from evil ways. There is evil in the world. There is an adversary. Satan does exist. We live in a spiritual realm, and we're in spiritual warfare. And as the word tells us, this world, belongs to Satan. Satan is the ruler of the world. Believers, we're in the world, but we're not of the world. This world is ruled by Satan. It's full of sin. It's full of evil. But as believers, as children of God, we're set apart, and we need to turn away from evil and do good. And in today's culture, it's really not that cool to do good. I like being good, what's considered good. I like being pleasant. I like being kind. I like serving others. I like conservative, traditional things that many people find to be kind of corny and not cool. But it works for me, and it brings me peace. It brings me the rewards, the fruit that comes with being this way. Um, I'm I not only try to do good because I want to please God, but really I don't feel at peace when I do something that's not good. I have call it a guilty conscience or whatever, but I'm not pleasant to be around because I just feel wretched. Um, and I end up, going back and asking for forgiveness anyhow. So I'm at the stage in my life where I try not to put myself through that, and just try my best to do good. Seek peace. I don't like conflict at all, and I seek peace. Um, I mentioned that I fight a lot of battles, and I would say I fight a lot of battles because people step to me, not because I want to. I am a peaceful person, but for some reason, just as with David, and this happens with people who are called out to serve God, you will face a lot of attacks from people, and it really doesn't make any sense. I'm an extremely nice person and a loving person, but um, still I'm faced with a lot of battles, and particularly from other females. Um, and it's something that just needs to be dealt with. So I find myself fighting battles, which I will respond. That's one thing about me, and something that I'm working on. I respond to everything. So even though I won't start anything, I will respond to it, and I will respond in a way as if this is a battle and it needs to be dealt with. And however, I would like to get to the point where I don't respond as much. One of the things you'll notice about Jesus when you read about him and read the word is that Jesus knew when to retreat. And a lot of times when there was trouble, he retreated. He didn't deal with it. He just backed away. And I am trying to learn to do that more and more. I'm getting better with that because certain things can be distracting, and it can keep us, if we're fighting battles all the time, it can drain us from our energy, and we may not move forward doing the things that we are meant to do. So sometimes we have to know when to retreat so that we can move forward with our purpose. But my point is that even though I am faced with a lot of battles, I seek peace, and I would prefer peace. And I like to get along, and I like, pleasantness and enjoying life. I'm not a rough person. I'm not a tough person, even though people tend to think that I overreact to things and I get overexcited and upset about things, but that's only when I'm being attacked, and only when you've pushed me to a certain point. But I prefer peace. I genuinely prefer peace, and look for peace. And sometimes when I need to take a break from certain people, I'm a person that sometimes I like to spend time alone in solitude, just because I don't want to deal with people. That's another way that I find peace. And I can remove myself from people and environments in order to find that peace. But back to Psalm 34. The point is that God can definitely and will definitely save us from our troubles, and He will get us out of the jams that we're in. And it's not like a magic thing. It's not like, God, I need you right this minute. I need you to do this. But when we have relationships with God, even when we're going through the hard times, and I've been through a lot of hard times and I've experienced a lot of suffering, as we're going through, God will be there with us and He will pull us through. We may have some things to learn along the way. We may have to feel some pain along the way, but we will get past it. And eventually, as I begin to reveal bits and pieces about my life, you'll see some of the types of battles I've been through, some type of incredible things that I've survived. When I think about the fact that I've survived all these things, it's just incredible. God is just great, and has definitely pulled me through a lot of things and made me victorious over a lot of spiritual attacks and different types of attacks that have come against me. And He'll do that for everyone who seeks Him and who builds that relationship with Him and who wants to live their lives the way that He wants us to live it. And part of those things, as mentioned in Psalm 34, is to stop the lying, stop the evil doing, to purify ourselves, seek peace, do good. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I think it's fly to do good. I'm dating myself by using that word, but being good is I think it's awesome. So this, I don't want it to be a long production, but I would like for you to maybe read Psalm 34 to yourself and ask yourself, do you want a long life and prosperity? Do you want to get there the way that God has designed for us to get there? And if so, begin thinking about your own life and thinking about what are the things possibly that you need to change about your life so that you can receive the blessings that God has in store for you. And it may be really examining, how much, am I involved with evil? When I say evil, we know right and wrong, we know good and bad. So examine yourself, and God knows that we're not perfect, and He knows that we mess up. But the thing is that He wants us to try this lifestyle. Being a believer, following God, it's a lifestyle, it's a choice. And it's a system that when we put forth actions, we get something in return. Once again, my name, as far as, publicly, because I am a private person, it's the Warrior Princess. That's what I use as my public identity for these purposes, as far as sharing with others how to fight battles, these really spiritual battles that we face as believers, and how to fight back with the weapons that God has given us to make us victorious. One of the weapons is a close relationship with Him. The way that we get closer to God is by doing the things being obedient, living the way that He wants us to live. And in turn, it works out, and our lives work out better. And as I move forth with this new project of mine, I pray that I stay focused on this and move forward with it. I will begin to discuss in detail different examples of my life. I will also have people on to share, friends of mine, to share similar stories about how God has intervened in their life, and about how They overcame battles that they were faced with, and how God delivers us for those who seek Him and take refuge in Him. I hope that this little video inspires you to take a look at Psalm 34 and begin to, just put yourself in David's mindset about God's promises and the actions that we must take to manifest those promises in this life. And maybe, make a list of some of the things that you need to work on if you have that goal of being pleasing to God, and also just operating the kingdom system. It has never failed me, and like I said, I've been through some stuff that you wouldn't believe, and I've overcome, and it's at the point where I know that I'm going to be faced with more stuff to go through, but I have no doubt that I'm going to overcome. God, with God for me, who was anyone or anything or any force to be against me? You can't win. Like Big Pun said, you can't win. So the thing is getting there to the point where your relationship is such that no matter what you're going through, how much pain you're going through, how much suffering you're experiencing, no matter how all hell is breaking loose, you are confident and you know that it's going to pass and you're going to be victorious. Some people don't understand that believers suffer, and they're like, well, if there's a God, then why do bad things happen, and why is there so much pain? And when people make comments like that, I know that they're not familiar with the Word, because throughout the Word, you have basically just about all of God's people that suffer. Look at Jesus, he suffered. Look at Job, he suffered. Look at David, he suffered. So suffering, is something that as a believer you should expect to go through. Really quickly, Psalm 34, it also reads in verse 19, "The righteous person faces many troubles, but the Lord comes to rescue each time. For the Lord protects the bones of the righteous. Not one of them is broken." Okay? And verse 22 says, "But the Lord will redeem those who serve Him. Not one who takes refuge in Him will be condemned." Okay, so basically you can be righteous and still suffer and still have troubles. And it says not one bone will be broken. It doesn't mean that you won't be tired. It doesn't mean you're not going to have to fight. It doesn't mean that you may not be worn down or even knocked down. But the thing is, you will not be broken. And that's the strength that we get from God. We will get through it. We will be stronger. And, we can move on to defeat the next thing or person that comes against us. Okay? It's about, victory after victory, glory after glory, and moving forth on this journey with God. So I'm going to stop here. And once again, I encourage you to read Psalm 34 to yourself and see how it applies to your life. And get to know David. I think that today's culture could relate a lot to David, the things that he went through, the temptations that he faced, the emotions that he had. He was an emotional person. He was a masculine person, a warrior, a fighter. But at the same time, he was very emotional. So he was an interesting mix, but I think that all of us can relate to different aspects of David, and I invite you to get to know his story, to learn from it. So that's it for right now. I plan to also have a blog about different biblical and spiritual topics relating to how people can get closer to God and operate in the kingdom and fight, win in spiritual warfare. So stay tuned. It will get better. I will learn how best to create these type of media um, videos and do different things. And also give me your feedback. Wherever I post this, there will be a place where you can make comments. So let me know what you might be interested in hearing about. Give me any technological suggestions you may have, possibly that you can teach me something about using a webcam or making videos. But let's, and let's talk about Psalm 34 after you read it. Why don't you post any comments or reflections you may have? So once again, I am the Warrior Princess. I am here to serve God and to go out and spread the word of God. And that's about it. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.